Welcome to Spiritual Geography. I'm Joni Miller. In the years after I stopped attending my former church, I was working with a medium, Janet, in Baltimore, training in spiritual exploration. Every Thursday for about 5 years, I set off from my home in the afternoon. Without traffic, the drive was about an hour and a half, and with traffic, it was anyone's guess. We had a small group between 4 and 9 people, with some stalwart participants and some coming in and out. At the start of each group, Janet asked if anyone had any spiritual experiences they wanted to share. In the early months of 2013, a man I will call Gerald joined the group. One Thursday in March of 2013, Gerald said he had a story. His wife had accepted an invitation to attend a Christian church the Sunday prior. Gerald didn't want to go with her, but he finally agreed to go. He described the experience to the group, and he described it as painful, and he said he tuned out. And instead of paying attention to the service, he attuned to spirit the way Janet taught us. Gerald said when he did that, he had a vision. He felt and saw his face turned toward a brilliant light, and everyone else in the church was looking away from that light. Gerald said he felt he was connecting to the true source of love, and those following religion were connecting to something else. He and Janet had a conversation about how religion can warp the connection to the source of love. Others joined in, talking about hypocrisy they've seen in Christianity. The general vibe was a complete dismissal of religion, especially Christianity. And during that conversation, I stayed silent, which was probably not surprising for a conflict-avoidant introvert. I wasn't quite sure what to say, but I had my own concerns about hypocrisy in religion, especially Christianity, but I wasn't willing to completely throw out the religion in which I was raised. I didn't know what to say, but I knew I needed to really think about this. It wasn't until my long drive home in the dark that my concern about his remarks turned into insight. In a church full of people, Gerald made it sound as if he felt only his connection to the divine was pure and true, and no one else there had any connection to the infinite whatsoever. That may not have been what he intended, but that is how I received it. All or nothing statements are rarely true, and I know deeply devout Christians who are pointed to a source of deep love that encourages them to act with love toward others. I also know deeply spiritual non-Christians or non-religious people at all whose spiritual practices help them grow in love and understanding. You can't know someone's spiritual journey or understand their spirituality merely by the room you find them in. Most of our judgment about someone else's spirituality are based on assumptions, and those assumptions are probably not true. At the time this happened, when I thought I had left Christianity behind when I left my former church, I had been mentally criticizing some Christians for thinking they had a monopoly on the truth and theirs was the only path to heaven. Because I was focused on Christianity, perhaps understandable since that was what I knew, I hadn't noticed how people of all spiritual beliefs can have that same sort of certainty toward others who believe differently. This kind of my way is right and your way is wrong, my way or the highway belief. And that kind of certainty can show up anywhere. Those who believe only in rational, provable scientific information may criticize someone who expresses any kind of faith belief at all. Christians often criticize other Christians who don't have the same level of orthodoxy or believe the same things. I'm not immune either. I judge, mostly when I run into someone who sounds as if they are so certain of their belief structure that there's no room for any other perspectives. I have to continually remind myself to look at someone's beliefs and see how those beliefs are life-giving for them. I try to look at other people's beliefs with my two questions. How does this belief help them? And does this belief hurt them or anyone else? If it helps them and doesn't hurt anyone else, then that belief somehow works for that person. And I try to bring myself out of judgment by understanding that their belief is their belief and I don't have to agree with it. I don't even have to understand it. And I certainly don't have to take it on for myself. Spirituality is complex. Everyone's spiritual journey is complex. And even those who don't consider themselves spiritual are usually on some sort of journey to find meaning in things like death or tragedy or sickness. We humans wrestle with big issues. And that wrestling shouldn't be placed in a box with a label that says, I know who you are and what you think. Because no one knows how anyone else truly thinks and feels. We struggle understanding how we ourselves think and feel, and we live inside our body day in and day out. Here's an all or nothing statement that is true. No human can completely understand the divine. The universe is immense, and we only can see a minuscule fraction. Each new exploration into outer space yields some answers, but even more questions. Questions we hadn't thought to ask yet. There are mysteries hidden on our planet in the deepest ocean and the tiniest insect. If we can't completely understand the physical world, how can we expect to comprehend with certainty that which is beyond the physical world? That night in 2013, on my dark and rainy trip home from Janet's, I had my own vision of spiritual exploration as a mountain. We each hope to reach the top where we have clear vision and an overwhelming vista where life and death become understandable. Some are on a well-worn path. Some choose to create their own path. Some do both. The process of exploration is what matters. So if you find yourself in a spot where you are feeling judgmental or think you have all the answers, ask one more question. What don't I know? What don't I know about this person, this situation, or this belief? Spiritual growth often depends on our openness to see the divine in whatever circumstances we find ourselves. Different paths suit different people. There can be something worthwhile to see and understand on whatever path you're on. How boring would life be if we were all on the same journey? We don't understand the mysteries of the universe, but we can grow more love. Love for ourselves, love for others, and love for the infinite mystery that lays beyond our understanding. Thank you for tuning in.